What's going on, YouTubers? Welcome to another video. So today we're going to be doing a top 10 updated best collectibles in my statue collection. This is a combination of life-size busts and just full-fledged statues. We've gotten a lot of really good pieces that have made the list recently, and so we got to make an updated list and talk about what are my 10 favorite collectibles in my collection right now. The majority of them are going to be busts, to be brutally honest. Just because busts are getting so good nowadays, not only with detail, but they're also improving concepts, that the busts are becoming better than the statues. And historically, I've always been a much bigger fan of statues than busts. However, busts are just getting so good that they're being better than the statues, like the majority of the time. I would say the majority of the time they are better. So yeah, but let's talk about a few honorable mentions, pieces I wanted to include in top 10, but there's certain reasons I didn't. First, Hulkbuster. Reason being, I've, tried to sell this. I wouldn't sell a top 10 piece. So clearly I don't love it as much as I do love it. I do love this piece a ton. It is so incredibly impressive, but I've also tried to sell it a lot. So that to me I can't put it in a top 10 piece. I would also say like Loki Bust and Infinity Wonder Woman, both just like freaking perfect busts, but just didn't quite make the list. Infinity Bale Batman, this is freaking perfect. I love it so much, but it just did not make my list. The other one would be Prime 1 Predator. Again, I've been trying to sell this piece. I wouldn't sell it if it was top 10. I've said it's top 10 before, but if it's top 10, why would I sell it? So I think the biggest problem is it's just overscaled. That overscale drives me crazy, and it makes so it's not a top 10 piece anymore for me. Last one would be Rotunda T-Rex. This thing is absolutely phenomenal, but I mark it down for two reasons. One, to make this screen accurate, you're not supposed to display the Velociraptor here. But by doing so, you have this nasty, ugly little thing. Also, lack of class size. Those are the two biggest reasons. All right, sorry about that, folks. Wife made me a quesadilla. It was absolutely delicious. Alrighty, so let's get to number 10. Number 10 on my list is Queen Alien Bust. I still think this is absolutely phenomenal. It has just tons of detail all throughout the piece. The biggest head. I mean, this thing is super big. 3 feet long, chromed teeth, the dome. This thing is just truly epic, massive. One thing about busts I really like, of course, is the really good detail, but also size does matter on busts. When they're smaller, they're just not quite as epic. I like a bigger bust. They're definitely like incredibly impressive. And this thing definitely does not disappoint. Like the paint app in detail is better on that from like there to there, because that is a Chase Smith $6,000 bust. I didn't pay $6,000. I paid less than half that. But that bust is better. Like if you took that and threw it on there, it'd be better. I prefer the open mouth, and the detail on that is uncanny how good the paint app is. However, the base sucks and it lacks body. The paint app is not as good, and it is closed mouth. Like I said, I prefer open. But the body and the base make up for it. So I like that better than that one. Now that one's just too small. But the head is just 10 out of 10 on that thing. So number 10 is Queen Alien Bust. Number 9 is going to be the Aliens FX Predator Bust. Now, this does not come without faults. I mean, every piece has faults, of course. This one, lack of a base. I had to make my own base. So that is something that I would definitely ding any bust. You shouldn't have to make your own base. It should just come with a base, and an epic base, mind that. I think I did a pretty good job. I used my custom Kintaro black base, put a bunch of leaves that were for my Jurassic setup. I added the dog tag, the logo, a scorpion, kind of to resemble all the Easter eggs from the Prime 1. He made me the skull. I think he did a really good job on all of it. The busts, this is a custom. It's not licensed, but it is substantially better than like that licensed Wolf Predator right there. It has 4th Sill Studio glass eyes, and Alien FX I believe this is an old Scott Marshall sculpt and possibly Scott Marshall body, and these are like foam dreads, and he paints everything. It took him like 3 months to make mine. Soft quills and dreads. He did a really good job. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It's also absolutely enormous. You look at it compared to like the Lycan bust, and it just towers over it. It has a ginormous head, and there's just so much to look at. It truly is impressive. So this thing is definitely special, and I love it. So number 9, Predator Bust. Number 8 is going to be the Clicker Bust. Clicker, I do think, is better than Alien and Predator for a few reasons. One, conceptually, it has the better base. Now I did add that logo and little keychain there, but it does have a bloater in the back right there, similar to like the Prime 1 Godzilla and Kong bus. So bloater is really cool. The whole design of it really resembles the whole like fungus and virus look. So I think the base is better. This one comes with a full arm, of course has that concept of the bite mark, and the micro detail in this is insanely good. Like a real t-shirt, silicone throughout. That portrait is just more impressive than the Predator and Alien portrait, because it's full silicone. Where the Predator and Alien are not silicone, those are polystone busts. Hand punch tear, immaculate paint app, blood dripping down, silicone tongue. This thing is just insane, like absolutely insane, and I freaking love it to death. And it's definitely one of my most impressive pieces. So this is number 8 on the list, Clicker Bust. Number 7 on the list is going to be the new Optimus Bust. I've thought about it. I've been looking at all my different pieces, and I think Optimus Bust makes the list. He is truly impressive. One, he is ginormous, like huge. This thing is very big, very wide, very deep, tons of parts, and just so much to look at. I would say the biggest faults are I wish it was a little bit more metallic looking, and I wish the light up was all like a USB plug-in or one battery, and then you press one button to turn everything on. I hate the way Queen did the batteries. They suck at that. Also, this is just a compliment to the bust, but Queen did a terrible job on it. The Prime 1 version is substantially more detailed and looks better. But this Optimus Bust truly is special. It really is. I freaking love it to death. It's just so imposing and huge. I mean, look at it next to these 1/4. It just towers. Definitely commands a lot of presence and just so many parts to look at, all throughout the bust. All throughout. And so base is magnificent. So, plus I just love Optimus so much. So I think a love of a character definitely makes a big difference on how much you like a piece. Of course, detail, concept, but also just how much you like a character makes a big difference. But yeah, for me, this is number 7. All right, so after Optimus Bust, I would put it as Shockwave is number 6 on the list. Shockwave was number 1 on my list many years ago, but of course I've received so many insanely good pieces since then, but I still consider him a top 10 best piece. He is like a gold standard of big pieces, just a ginormous base, 3 feet wide, 3 feet deep, 3 feet plus tall. He's 38 inches tall, but this piece is truly just insane. Like the giant drillers, those things are like 5 feet long. And as a character, he just truly is impressive. So many intricate little parts. Light up sucks because they die instantly. Massive gun, like the biggest gun in my collection. Incredibly cool. Such a cool character in the movie as well. And so I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of this piece. I think it's one of the best statues ever created. I freaking love how much presence it commands and all the little detail. Absolutely destroys the old Matrix Studio one I used to have. And it's kind of crazy because when I used to own that one, I always thought, yeah, I don't need the Prime 1 version. And someone told me that they liked the Matrix more than Prime 1, owning both. And after getting Prime 1, I was like, dude, that person's effing retard. How could they ever say that? This is a billion times better. Detail, paint, concept, base, size. This is beyond amazing in so many ways. So yeah, this, number 6 on the list. Now we're down to the top 5. Alrighty, so number 5 on my list is going to be Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, this is light off. Light on, I'd probably bump it up one to number 4. But the thing is, you can't really count light up on a piece just because that is not how you view it. You view it light on 0.01% of the time. This is how the piece looks 99.9% of the time when I'm looking at it. Sure, I may have a guest come over, like let's say my brother comes over to check out the collection. I'll turn it on real quickly. And then it's like, holy shiz, that is amazing. If we could somehow figure out the technology to where you could have this lit up 24/7, it doesn't die and whatnot, takes very little energy, then yes, I would definitely put this higher up. But no light up, I put it at number 5. The most impressive thing is the fact you basically get a full city. Godzilla and Kong himself, they are impressive, no doubt. But I would not put them this high up on my list. I probably wouldn't even put them on the top 10 list if they didn't have the whole city. The whole city is what makes this special. The fact it's a gigantic 5-foot wide diorama, like a whole city with them fighting all the, fires and destroyed buildings. That is what makes this so truly impressive. The whole diorama, not the individual characters. No, they are really good though. But for me, this is still one of the best statues ever created, like ridiculously good. I'm super happy to own it. Especially having the bust on each side, like that display is almost unbeatable. So this is number 5. All right, now we're down to number 4, which is actually going to be Sauron Bust. One of the newer acquisitions. This piece is top for several reasons. I mean, one, it's a freaking life-size Sauron. This thing is 6 feet freaking tall. The presence is out of this world on this piece. Like, every time I walk by, I'm just like, Jupiter's cock. Like, literally, that is how insane this piece is. Now, the detail, top-notch. Base, love it. Pose, love it. There's honestly not much more you could improve on. I mean, of course, him holding his freaking mace would be epic, but I've seen someone do it where they had like a foam mace they inserted, and it just made it so ridiculously wide. Plus the mace looked underscaled. Like, even that one isn't scaled properly to this. But I do love this piece. Like, it is truly special. The presence is insane. The detail's fantastic, and it's definitely just a jaw dropper when you see it in person. So definitely a top 5er for me. Piece I'm going to keep for a very, very long time. I threw away the boxes. So if I ever did sell this in the future, it'd be local pickup only. But most likely, if I never move, this will be a lifer for me. Because to me, Lord of the Rings is the greatest trilogy ever made. And this piece is insane. I mean, the head, like, holy crap, it's big. I mean, just look at the finger size compared to mine. It's the biggest finger probably in my whole collection. So yeah, this is number 4. Number 3 is going to be Jetwing Optimus. I still consider this the best statue ever made. I mean, goodness gracious. Optimus himself is just incredibly detailed, of course. The massive guns, the gigantic wingspan. It's just truly impressive. And they, made updates to this one versus Dark of the Moon. Dynamic flying Optimus with an absolute just like 10 out of 10 base with the drillers coming out. It is so epic. It's not even funny. When I saw this piece revealed, I was just like, that's it. It's like, I don't know how you can top this in terms of a statue. For a statue, I don't know how we'll beat this, folks. This to me is just like ultimate, because I freaking love Optimus. He's one of my favorite characters, definitely like a top 5 favorite. And this piece is perfect. In the moment when he is doing Jetwing fighting against Shockwave, it's one of the best cinematic moments ever for me. I get goosebumps every single time when he's fighting Shockwave, and the music and the way he kills everyone and says, "You die," and then punches him literally through the hip and then rips his freaking his eye out. It is beyond epic. So this piece is definitely, for me, still my favorite actual statue. Not overall collectible, but favorite statue. Number 3, Jetwing Optimus by Prime 1. Number 2 is going to be Thanos Bust. Now, I think Thanos would be number 1 if he had a second arm. I think that's the biggest reason Thanos does not become number 1. Could you imagine if he had a second arm? Now, I'm trying to think how it would be posed, because typically his arm would probably be just hanging down, then it'd go down there. You'd almost want to do, if he could hold his double-edged sword. Oh my gosh, that'd be cool. Imagine if his arm was resting on his shoulder, holding the double-edged sword. Now, that sword, I think, is 8 feet long. It's hard to imagine how you could do a second arm. I mean, outside of doing another power-up pose, I suppose, or maybe holding something in his hand, like the Gamora's little sword, or, the Infinity Gauntlet alone does make this movie inaccurate. He did not wear that gauntlet with all Infinity Stones in this armor. He only got all the Infinity Stones in this armor. When he was in this armor at the very beginning of the movie, but he only had 2 stones, and then he removed the armor, and then in Endgame, he only wore the Nano Gauntlet. So, those are the 2 things I would probably ding this Thanos on, is movie inaccuracy and lack of a second arm. That aside, because I can always look past that, because one, the Infinity Gauntlet does look cooler than just his standard, bat arm. Infinity Gauntlet is cooler. Secondly, if he did have a second arm, space-wise would just be near impossible to display. But this piece has a near perfect base. It's freaking amazing. The coolest looking armor, and the presence is insane. I mean, it's 45 inches tall, 48 inches wide, and 28 inches deep. Perfect likeness. Paint app is immaculate. Light up. This thing is truly impressive. And Thanos is the greatest villain ever created, from the greatest series of movies ever created. He's my favorite villain ever done. I still wouldn't mind it being done in silicone, although, if we're being honest, the last silicone, the skin tone was so bad. The fact I had to use baby powder on it, and it was when it first came out, and I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, it was so dark. It drove me so crazy. It was almost like the prototype looked so perfect. The purple was so good. The purple they had on the box was so perfect. And then when I looked at the actual statue, I was like, what the fuck is this? So at least this one has, a proper good skin tone. And, you don't have to worry about the degradation if it is silicone. Especially having such a massive arm. If this was silicone, I'd kind of worry the weight. They have their reasons, but for Polystone, it still looks incredibly realistic. Very well done. Glass eyes, full helmet. As you can see, just ridiculously massive. This was the number 1 slot since I've had it, until just, the other day when, of course, we got our number 1 piece, which you guys just saw the video of. That is, of course, Blue Box Hyper Silicone Kratos Bust. This is my favorite piece. Now, since yesterday's, or the other day's video, there has been a few things I've done to this bust. One, the way Kratos holds Mimir, Mimir's head kind of just he angles forward, and I don't like that. I want him facing this way, like it is right now. You'll notice he's angled perfectly right now. And the way I actually did that is I put a little acrylic riser right underneath him, and it's blocked by his beard, fortunately. And this works great for 2 reasons. One, it's going to alleviate any pressure on that silicone hand, so there's no long-term effects of, him holding a 15-pound head. So that is reason. And then second, to get that perfect angle where it's facing forward, no other direction, and it's facing straight, not angled down. So we did that. I added this God of War logo. I think I already showed that, though. We are getting the Bifrost lamp. It's going to go right here. It'll probably stand about yay tall. That'll look really good. But yeah, for me, this is the best statue in my collection. Full silicone, perfect everything. My favorite character, Kratos. You know, so as you notice, you know, the majority of my favorite pieces are my favorite characters. You know, Kratos, Thanos, Optimus Prime. You know, like characters like Predator and Alien, they don't have like a personality. So you don't really grow to love like a specific, you know, character in that because they don't really have a personality. You know, but characters like Kratos, Thanos, Optimus, my other favorite, Scorpion. Now, if this Scorpion was like that Kratos, where it was like full silicone, half torso, holding his spear like that, I could tell you now that would be a top 10 piece for me. That would 100% be a top 10. You know, I love that bust right there, but I want it done in this style. This big, holding his chains just like that with a real metal chain. And I want that to be full silicone. And I want the hands, you know, because if you look at that, that's what it's based off of. I want all those hands to be silicone. You know, that to me would definitely be a top 10 piece. Top 5, actually. But yeah, Kratos is my favorite piece of my collection. I do not ever foresee it being topped, you know, especially based off all my remaining pre-orders. Any current existing pre-orders that Infinity, Queen, or Prime 1 has done, nothing will top this. Now, I am getting my other Kratos Bust. You know, I don't think that will, you know, of course, top this by any means. Could it make top 10 list? I don't know. Probably not. I think it is really good, but I don't think it'll make top 10. I think it's going to be very impressive, though. I'm really excited to see it in person. The other thing I really want to see is Prime 1 God of War Ragnarok. Because I could also imagine how epic it would be to do, like, instead of Resident Evil 2 right here, imagine the God of War Ragnarok diorama. You know, Kratos and Atreus versus Thor and Odin. Or just versus Thor. Now, because you didn't actually fight Thor and Odin at the same time. So, and dude, Thor is huge. Like, he towers over Kratos. So he would be a huge 1/4. You know, so I think that'd be an absolute epic, you know, setup if you could have, you know, God of War 1 here, God of War 2 here. Then if you did, or you do Ragnarok here, God of War 1 right here, and Ragnarok Bust right here. So it's just like, you know, the first game with the first bust, second game with the Ragnarok Bust. That would be like, holy Jupiter, you really love Kratos and God of War. The answer is yes. Yes, I freaking do. I also would love to get a bust of that Kratos done in this style. Now, had I known that Blue Box was making this, I never would have did my custom Kratos in this version. I actually would have made it like that. Same pose, Greek-themed base, that Kratos version. I would have did that instead. But Blue Box didn't tell me until 2 months ago. So I was well into the project. No changes, you know, so. But anyways, folks, that is my top 10 current favorite pieces in my collection. You know, I don't think any of my existing, you know, pre-orders are going to make a top 10 list, you know. Unless I get Neytiri Bust, I think she can make the top 10 for sure. I think she could knock out Alien or Predator Bust. I don't know if I'm getting Neytiri. Witch King Bust, there might be potential with him. There might. That piece does look really freaking good. So there are potentials. I still do want the Neytiri Bust. You know, most likely I will be getting it. But anyways, folks, let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite piece of my collection? And in your collection, like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.